Hey everyone, I'm at the Melbourne International EV Auto Show, and we're going to take a look around all the booths and see some of the new EVs on show. There's no real logic to this tour, it's just going to be start at the left and we'll make our way around, hopefully see everything. So the new Xpeng 3 here, wrapped in a nice livery for the show obviously. Quite a nice familiar interface, pretty minimal in the interior. Over here we've got the Tesla Owners Club of Australia. So Tesla not officially at the event, but the Owners Club are representing. Over on this side we've got Smart. So obviously they used to make the little smart cars that were kind of pretty funny, unique. They've moved into EV like a number of other auto manufacturers, and quite a nice display, nice booth. It's an interesting aero design on the wheel here. And this again is the number 3. So we're seeing a lot of 3s between the Smart 3, the Xpeng 3, and of course the Model 3 from Tesla. So it seems to be a bit of a hit. And then number 1 over here. So more from these guys. Obviously they're talking everything electric and associated with owning an EV, and Tesla. Brand new Model 3 on display, the new Y. All your sort of charging questions and stuff. That's one of the great things about coming to the show, is if you're a potential buyer and you've got some questions before you do, this is a great place to come and talk to people who've been there and done that and know the answers. Over here we've got some BYD on display. Of course, EVs need to do all the same duties that your regular cars do, and that includes sort of carrying bikes and trailers and things like that. So these guys are doing an aftermarket hitch there. And then we've got Segway here. So they've got quite a decent booth, some fun machines in the front there. And we'll go and have a look at the actual riding experience over there in a little bit. We come to the middle, probably one of the biggest booths here is Xpeng. And clearly what's happened in the Australian market recently is there's a massive influx of vehicles from Chinese brands, and they're putting on a massive show here. You can see that interior design is quite familiar, very minimal, touchscreen display in the center. It's quite an aesthetic that I like. It doesn't work for everybody, but for me personally, I really enjoy that. You can see the display from outside as well. It's actually quite a challenge too to have a computer inside the car. With Australian heat, it can get up to 45, 46 degrees in summer, and to be able to cope with those temperatures with the sun beaming through that windscreen is quite impressive. It's got a nice roof rack and some off-road gear up top. We've got quite an array of cars here. So the G9, the newer X9, is going to be a bit of a hit at the show, I think. And of course the performance one, this is the Go Fast machine, really Model 3 performance competitor here, the P7 Plus. So got a nice angle to the back of it. Of course, steering wheel on the left hand side. Would love to see that in a right hand drive model. And yeah, that looks pretty sweet from the front. A nice light bar that goes across the front. Would actually like to see Tesla add that to the Model 3 to match the Model Y now, and the Cybertruck and Cybercab eventually. But yeah, X9, people mover. Look at some of the specs here. 590 Ks and WLTP. Very cool. Is the minibus of the future. All right, let's take a walk over this way, and so we've got VW over here. Now, this VW van has been coming for a long while, and it's finally here, and it's in a very interesting bright colour, so you want to stand out. This is the car for you. And clearly, while we're packing in a bunch of passengers, there's quite a massive cargo space. I mean, a ridiculous amount of cargo space in that. If that's like a shuttle to the airport or something, that will work fantastically. And let's keep going over this way. And some more from VW here. As I said, these took quite a while to get to Australia, but now they're here. I think they're starting to be noticed, get some attention, and be some decent competition, which is what we love. This is the two-tone bus, so over there we've seen the single colour. The two-tone I think is the win here. And then we've got different seat configuration with them folded down. You can just see how much space is available in there. I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? Similar interior, big display. It does have a driver's dash as well. Pretty cool. It's cyber metal. Interesting. So EV parts. We've got some EVs over here. Quite sure about the Range Rover. Sure. Hybrid, most likely. So MG, obviously they've got big offerings, and the new sportier sub-brand is also looking very great, and I don't think they have any of them here. And then we're over to Kia, so Kia EV3. This is a new entrant on the market in Australia, and I think this is really going to be appealing to quite a lot of people. Look at the rear row there. And I do like those wheels. That wheel design is quite good. This has sort of got some nice design there on the rear. Heaps of space, actually, to be honest. Just space under there. Won't pull that out on their display, but yeah, Kia EV3. Looking good. Very cool. All right, let's cut through here and see what else we got. EV bike, safety helmet thing. Oh, let's take a quick look at the go-karts. Lots and lots of fun. Wish we had more places to go and ride these. He's loving life. That's awesome. Very cool. I'll definitely have a go at those later. All right, so we've got some sort of vendor booths over here around charging, that sort of stuff. Some more along here. Flow power over the back there might be worth a look. BYD seal. And more from BYD. The Shark 6 hybrid, obviously, but that thing is very cool. You can buy a Ute, that's one of the better ones to go for. And that orange colour certainly stands out. C-Line 7, newer car, and then of course the classic Atto 3. It's been out for a while. Leapmotor, not a brand that most people are familiar with, a new entrant. They're rocking the C10 here. Tan leather, it's not my feel, but certainly that'll appeal to some people. I do like the screens in there. Yeah, that dash looks great. And C10 Reeve. Okay. Zero frunk option there. All right, now we're talking some crazy. These are, less cars you're about to go and buy, but certainly interesting to come and look at the show. This thing is, I think we're talking $300,000-$500,000 for something like that. Fully EV, Rolls-Royce. Good to see Rolls-Royce getting into that. For those people who love the luxury, have the dollars, and want to go EV, they need options, and this is one of them. Interesting, it's not fenced off or anything. It's really great to see at the show. If people can actually get up close and personal to a car like that. And of course, we've got a C8 over here. So the Corvette, obviously, it's got this E-Ray. It's like a tiny battery in there, but yeah, let's call it a hybrid slash. I mean, it's a serious looking sports car, isn't it? And then over here, speaking of sports car, we've got a bit of a battle here. Either side of this divider, we have Ferrari this side, Lamborghini this side. I quite like that setup, that they're sort of back to back. Let's have a look this side first. Yeah, I mean, under these lights, I just love those. I need those in my garage. Yeah, so the red and the blue there. Let's tuck around this side. We'll get to Polestar in a second. I do find it interesting that in our regular normal cars you get a choice of like grey, white, blue, maybe a red, but when you get to these sort of more exotic cars you get all the kind of crazy colours you want. I mean, they just look stunning, don't they? And as somebody who's like 6'2", 6'3", not a lot of space in there, this is just mean. A green mean machine, that is cool. You want to go grab the shopping and take kids to soccer and then go have fun around the curly bits on the weekends, that's the kind of car you're after. There are some commercial stuff, not super interesting for most people, but if you're in business and you want to, lower your cost of operations, buying an EV alternative is certainly a good option. And it looks like there's some, starting to be some good options on the market for that. Now let's talk about Polestar. I mean, at these shows, they always put on an amazing booth. It's sort of a familiar format, but they just bring their latest cars, obviously. So we've got a lineup here of the Polestar 3, 4, and of course the 2 that we've reviewed in the past. So I like what they do here with the details on the floor. That's something unique. If you have a bit of a peek inside, familiar story there. Nice big screen in the front, and the 2, of course. It got a little refresh after I reviewed it. And of course, that touchscreen stuff is the important bit. How often are those software updates coming to the vehicle? I think that's a really big differentiator in the buying decision. There's the MG Cyberster here, with the EV convertibles and like Lambo style doors. About 100 grand for this thing. It's pretty cool if you got the dollars and you want something a bit different. One of the main things I'm going to enjoy this weekend is this sort of panel discussion at the show. There's a lot of sessions on. I look forward to to listening, maybe asking a few questions and that sort of thing. But I think this is, for the most part, we might have a little bit more in the front over here to go and tackle. Oh, a big Kia booth over here on this. So let's head over here and tackle that. Okay, and there's also a lot of drives on this weekend as well. So the ability to test drive vehicles, back to back is just something very unique at a show like this. Normally you'd have to go and test drive a vehicle, travel to the next dealer, test drive that, and try and imagine them side by side, or back to back. And this show offers that ability to jump in one and then jump in the next one. But Kia EV9 clearly is a massive standout. Not cheap by any means, but you need to move people. That's a nice way to do it. Over here is one of my favourites, I reckon. EV3 is just looking nice. Different colour than the one we looked at before. And then the 5 in the middle. So EV3, EV5. So if you can get away with a smaller car and you're happy with that sort of storage, the EV3 is a nice fit. And what you could do is opt for the longer range. So you spend a bit more on the battery, get the longer range version of this instead of sort of stepping up to this one. But if a bit more storage is required, then certainly that's what's on offer here with the EV5. Take a quick look inside that. Nice back row, bit of leg room there. The screen on here is sort of a full, basically it's the same as what's in the 3. We've just got that in the 5. Nothing to complain about there. Interesting approach to door handles, and there's still a key lock inside there. See that? It's a bit different. I do like those wheels too. So price tag here is 75. I think you can look around and depends on options and stuff. I guess that's the way this is spec'd. This is most likely the flagship. But you can get into it, I think, for about 60, just over 60. And of course, that's sort of the Model Y competitor. EV6 has been on the market for quite a while. Audi's got a couple here, e-trons. EV6 and then Nitro EV. Sort of doesn't get much of a play, the Nitro. It is, it's kind of big dollars for what it is, to be honest. I think the EV5 is my pick, or the EV3. We've got MSI, typically a gaming brand. Electric vehicle supply equipment, there you go. So big EVSE charger, some home charging options, and we've got some more display booths. I do see something I want to go check out, which is the F-150 Lightning over here. So let's do that now. Some retrofits. Interesting. Porsche over here. And F-150 Lightning. So not available in Australia unless you want to go through Oz EV, and they do conversions and that kind of thing, but I mean, that is just a serious bit of ute, isn't it? Look at the space in there. Fold up the rear seats. I mean, you swing a cat in there. That is cool. Actually might be able to get hold of one of these for review, and I think after seeing it in person, I definitely want to do that. Here's that funky door lock thing. Interesting that Ford took that approach. And then, I mean, that display compared to anything you get in a Ranger or something is just sort of worldly different, isn't it? You fold down the gear selector there, have a bit of workspace. I like that as somebody with a laptop. Often travel with a laptop. And then we've got the charge ports and that sort of jazz, but this is one of the main features. The very cool thing is, you know, that front, and it's not the end of the story. Got the drain in there, which is good. But yeah, if you want to sit up there and, you know, watch the sunset or something, but that is very cool. I do like this sort of style on the front hood there. Obviously got to do something unique with that instead of the air vents you used to have in the front there. And then, you know, you see by comparison, this is what sort of BMW are doing with theirs, the big kidney. We've got some space-saving tyres there. Obviously EVs often don't come with spare tyres just to save weight. Volvo and Taycan, so a bit more Porsche. And then, yeah, big one at the front here is Zeekr. One of the newer entrants here, that people mover we've seen out the front. So the first thing you come to the come to the show, one of the first things you'll see is this thing at the front. And yeah, the reason this is important is the 3 rows is kind of unique. But man, that 001 FY, I'm loving that. That looks sexy. Those red accents, I mean, that's a good looking car. I don't know if this is open. Nope. Yeah, red, black interior. Yeah, that's nice. And look at this wing. I mean, seriously. You don't see enough wings on EVs. That is cool. I really love the design of that thing. That looks fast, sitting still. Very cool. And yeah, a little small SUV there. All right, I think that we tackled everything. How was that? That was cool showing you around. There's going to be heaps more at the show this weekend. I'll bring you more on Tech AU. Cheers, guys.